Hey guys, and welcome to Jurassic Room. This is the long overdue review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, I have kind of gone into everything about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, mostly in my in-theater reaction and my, the Q&A I did with Jeremy Pruchik and Clayton Fioriti. And we got basically into everything, but I still need to do my review for it, since the movie it came out 3 months ago in June. It's today is September 18th, so gotta do it because it's out on Blu-ray now, so I figured it'd be a perfect time to do that. And really, just off the bat, I love this movie. It's now my new favorite in the whole franchise, simply because outside the Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, and Jurassic World, this is really one of the most Crichton-esque feel. I'm trying to point it out. The most well thought out idea of a Michael Crichton Jurassic Park movie since The Lost World. It really touches on a lot of the stuff that is toyed around with in the novels. And even one particular thing, which really came from another film he made, which was Westworld, which, the whole Maisie clone thing really kind of reminds me of Westworld in that way. But really, I just love this movie. The dinosaurs, the story, everything. And I think it gets a bad rap, mostly from critics and people who, because this really dives into the lore of the Jurassic, but most people look towards the other movies rather than the novels and other lore. But this movie really went in for the fans. Like how Clayton definitely goes with that idea. It really was a service to the fans of the whole lore of Jurassic rather than just the movies. And that, I think, is why most people don't seem to like it as much. But frankly, I want to go ahead and get into it so that I can better explain it down the line. But anyway, first we'll start off with the cast. Now, IMDb has basically the best comprehension of the whole cast, which I'll address in this video, because I like to address the full cast, because even the most minor role, is a significant one. First, we have Chris Pratt as Owen Grady, Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire Dearing, Rafe Spall as Eli Mills, the main villain, Justice Smith as Franklin Webb, Daniela Pineda as Zaya Rodriguez, James Cromwell as Benjamin Lockwood, Toby Jones as Mr. Eversole. Actually, let me see. His full name, Mr. Eversole, but he has a full name right here. Sorry. It's right here. Gummer Eversole. Ted Levine as Ken Wheatley. Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. B.D. Wong as Dr. Henry Wu. Geraldine Chaplin, the daughter of the great Charlie Chaplin, plays Iris in the movie. She doesn't have a full name, just Iris, as far as I can tell. Isabella Sermon as Maisie Lockwood. Robert Ems as the tech merc. He's the guy that gets off by the mosasaur at the end, or the beginning. Peter Jason as Senator Sherwood. Kevin Lane as the submarine pilot. John Schwab as the tech operator. Sam Redford as the helicopter pilot. Charlie Ross as the lead mercenary. Patrick Crawley as prop plane pilot. Alex Dower as Russian mob guy. Honey Holmes as Russian girlfriend. Neil Bishop as Russian bidder. Philippa Thomas as the BBC News anchor. Ronan Summers as the British mercenary. Corey Peterson as the committee chairman. Jeremy Gilbert as the hero tracker. Victor Gardner as the crewman. Daryl Kwan as another bidder. Eric Coffey Abrifa, I'm sorry if I'm misspelling that, as the helicopter merc. Ben Peel as the helicopter merc. Mark Griffin as the helicopter merc. Paul Sockett as the bearded merc. I think I recognize him too in the movie. He's the one that outed them. Doug Robson as the mercenary in Tunnel. Gil Colleran as Mills Man. Nathan Florence as Surfer. Brian Phillips as Surfer. Mitchell L. Johnson as Jungle Merc. Chris Adams as mercenary, uncredited. Minaj Anand as U.S. Senate photographer, uncredited. The rest of these are uncredited. So, David Alawale Allende as a reporter. Max Baker as Mr. Swanbeck. Sam Bass as Franklin's mercenary. Gary Baxter as auction attendee. Martin Bell, Senate audience member. Kishore Bhatt as evil businessman. Paul Blackwell as punter. Jennifer Bradley as news reporter. James Briggs, DPG member. Thomas Brungard Esquire as mercenary. Ross Carter as evil businessman. Conlon Cassell as Radovan. Romualdo Castillo as boat crew. Matthew A. Chapman as jungle base worker. Peter Coe as bodyguard. Raymond Cook as mercenary. Ian Copley Johnson as boat crew. Alexander Cruikshanks as HGV Merc. Frank Dan as mercenary. Sean Dunnigan as mercenary. Danielle Egan as boat crew. Carl Ferrer as driver. Faith Faye as mercenary. Mike Firth as senator's aide. Errol Francis as reporter. Dylan Gandhi as engine security officer. Sean Gislingham as Congressman Ordoff. Juke Hardy as Lockwood mercenary. Joe Hart as Screaming Woman. That's her, the Screaming Woman. John Hartstone as pool player. Carlos Herrero as boat crew. Pete Buzzsaw Holland as bodyguard / buyer. Vaser Ince as Inc. as bodyguard. Matt Jones as U.S. Senator Milner. Jake Kearney as Franklin's mercenary. Gary Keeley as evil businessman. Andrew Kibet as barman. Danielle Lonergan as mercenary. Marion Larincic as Russian bodyguard. Neil McKinnon as mercenary. Raid Matwee, I hate this floor, as mercenary. Lee Mayo as mercenary driver. Mark Medeiros as jungle tracker. Richard James Montgomery as mercenary driver. Fiesel Malapacus, I don't know, as jungle mercenary. Emerson Nwali as bodyguard. Andrew Akello as jungle tracker. Rajiv Bahua, I think is how it's called, as park visitor. Michael Papajohn as engine contractor. Jordan Parsons as boat crew. Jaj Patel as Saudi Royals auction consultant. Adam Prickett as Lockwood handler. Jacqueline Ramniran as secret agent at the corporate court room. Pasi Antero Ramsu as businessman. Nigel Rickson as mercenary HTV driver. Deborah Rock as U.S. Senate. Peter Rooney, Lockwood Docker. Alex Sark Geisler as Lockwood mercenary. Craig Skashidi as UTV driver number 2. Jason Shillingford as boat crew. Raji Shrenreen, I think it's how to say it, Shrenreen as Indian gangster. Andrea Elizabeth Sakink as jungle base worker. Clem So as auction bidder. Matt Sproil as jungle mercenary. Daniel Stizen as Russian bodyguard. Jason Szabo as jungle mercenary. Fran Targ as auction guest. St. Thompson as jungle tracker. Balto, the intern. G.S. Wade II, bodyguard. Andy Willis as Lockwood mercenary. Chris Wilson as Texas auction bidder. And Clevender Wright as the combat medic. So there you have it. That's the full cast of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Not counting the crew, because, wow, that's a lot of crew. But I would like to commend all the crew who helped in the movie. And definitely I'd like to check out IMDb, or y'all would like to check out IMDb to learn about all those good work, those good people who worked on this great film. Also, next, the dinosaurs, because of course can't have the video without all the dinosaurs that appear in the film. Now, I'm actually going to have a video specifically talking about the dinosaurs that survived Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but that's for another video. Right now, we'll only talk about the species we see in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I've written down right here. We have Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is Rexy. We have Velociraptor, which is Blue. Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, Stygimoloch, Parasaurolophus, Apatosaurus, Gallimimus, Carnotaurus, Baryonyx, Sinoceratops, Allosaurus, Compsognathus, Stegosaurus, Pteranodon, and the Mosasaurus. And if it's to be believed, if they work that out, possibly Pachyrhinosaurus, if you were to believe the little chart that says Pachyrhinosaurus, you know. But that's basically kind of left over from when Sinoceratops is Pachyrhinosaurus, so take that as you will. But essentially, those are the dinosaurs that appear in the film. Now, a little bit about my top 5 favorite dinosaurs in this film. Well, as a herbivore, I just have to say I really, it's hard. I loved all the herbivores, really. And Stiggy was just a little monster. I loved watching Stiggy run around, like the one scene in the you know, the auction room. She is just, if you count all those people she hit as a death, she killed more people than basically every other dinosaur in the franchise. Like, she was a little monster, and I gotta love her for that. It's kind of a tie between Stiggy and the Sinoceratops. I just really liked the Sinoceratops. It was such a cool new dinosaur to be introduced. Love the fight between her and the Carnotaurus, or he, I think it's probably a she though. And the Carnotaurus, she had the funny scene with Owen licking his face, like, wake up buddy, the impending doom is coming. And definitely some of the cooler stuff around the Lockwood Manor. Although I'm really excited that the Parasaurolophus, you know, all survived, and because Parasaurolophus has long been one of my favorites in the franchise. 4 has got to be probably the Indoraptor. I really like the Indoraptor. It's such a really cool dinosaur, and it's not really in you know, not really in order, but just dinosaurs I really enjoyed the most. Love the Indoraptor though. It's just such a cool concept to be executed in the franchise and in this movie. I really wish we kind of gotten a little more with it, but it was still such a cool dinosaur. Like the music itself, and I'll get to the music later, but geez, just the music going through this movie when like it gets on top of the roof and the gothic Wolfman style, and you just got that really gothic, like Dark Knight music blaring. It's absolutely amazing, but the Indoraptor itself is such a cool concept of the creature, and like everything it's in, you know, everything it does is just really awesome and scary as well. Let's see, I really gotta say the Mosasaurus is number 3. Just, of course, it's the Mosasaurus. Love the Mosasaurus. Number 2's gotta be Rexy, because I know, and I also love the Baryonyx too, but I had to involve the at least one herbivore, so Baryonyx was out for the top 5. But I did love the Baryonyx. I thought it was a really cool dinosaur. But Rexy, because, oh my gosh, it's Rexy, and probably some of the best scenes of the T-Rex, you know, since really The Lost World. Well, given that the T-Rex died in Jurassic Park 3 and Rexy was only in it for a few minutes in Jurassic World, really some of the best scenes of the T-Rex in the whole franchise. And man, she's no slouch in this movie. But number 1, definitely Carnotaurus. I loved the Carnotaurus and everything it did. Such a cool dinosaur. Everything up to the end. I mean, everything was awesome with the Carnotaurus. I loved the Carnotaurus. Toast was awesome in this movie. The fight between the Sinoceratops, getting beaten by Rexy, and the ending, you know, with her fighting over the scraps of mills with Rexy. It was all awesome. And those are probably my top 5 favorite dinosaurs in the movie. Next, we'll start with special effects. All the special effects were amazing. Probably I want to say the best CGI with some of the creatures. Like, I still think the movie with the best CGI has to be probably Jurassic Park 3. Because if you look at all the dinosaurs in that movie, they're all very polished and they look near perfect. You never really see the CGI. You know, and you can still see it, you know, and I'm not faulting The Lost World or the original Jurassic Park for that, but, you know, you still see moments where they're more CGI, but it's really good CGI, you know. Jurassic World kind of was a little faulty with the CGI, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom kind of falls victim to that as well with some of the dinosaurs. But really, it's not incredibly noticeable, and as well, the animatronics were really great too in what they were using. You know, the blue animatronic that they used on the table, the Rexy one that's in the cargo container was really nice. And I'm so glad they used that animatronic throughout the whole scene, because I overly enjoyed that. Especially the robotic eye. Because one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise is when Rexy peers in through the window in the original Jurassic Park and it dilates, and that's one of my favorite scenes of all time. And I always like that they added that with her eye moving in Fallen Kingdom. Then I can't remember any herbivore animatronics, but I do remember the Indoraptor specifically. You know, you got the whole Indoraptor puppet, but then you got the hand as well. The hand was really awesome. So, love the special effects in it, and they're really decent. Now onto the story, I think. Really, the story, I think the only problem, and I'll combine this with my problems. The only problems I had was really with the story. I think that if we had maybe 10 minutes of watching Ken Wheatley and them catch some of the dinosaurs, I think it would have satisfied so many people. 5 to 10 minutes of that would have been like so satisfactory, instead of having them explain that, you know, they were all already out, so we were already able to catch most of them. But I think, and if they ever did like a graphic comic or something like that, I think that would be perfect to add that in, like of how they did it, you know, and which animals they caught at first, you know. I think that would have been perfect, and maybe explain how they caught the dinosaurs at the end off the cliff, because you know they had to get some of those. But I think that was overall one of the biggest problems. And the other problem is with, I think, I didn't really have a problem with any of the other scenes, but the only problem I had was with Ken Wheatley's death. Now, it's not that it wasn't bad, it's just I think it could have been, given someone like Jay Abiona, I think he could have come up with something better. Like, my personal thoughts, like, my little pitch for that scene, which, you know, it's really worthless pointing out, but really my pitch was that he wouldn't open the cage, and that he would reach through the bars to try and get the tooth out. The Indoraptor would would play dead, then wake, you know, of course, up, snatch his hand, pull him in, and lift him up above the cage, and kind of a reference to Jeffrey Brown's death in Jurassic Park. You know, he was the gatekeeper. Basically, the Indoraptor ripping his arm off, you know, same way, eating it, and then Wheatley dragging himself away, and then somehow the Indoraptor figuring out a way out of the cage. But basically, that was my kind of pitch. I think it would have come out in a more horrifying way. You know, him dragging himself away in kind of like a Deep Blue Sea fashion. That was my kind of pitch, and I thought that would have been a little better than what we got. You know, Ken Wheatley, I want my bonus, gets into the cage, and you know, we knew as soon as he said, I want my bonus, he was basically dead. So, that was really my only problem. Everything else in the story I loved. The beginning was real nice, you know, we see the impact, and really, some of the impact of Jurassic World itself, you know, like the billboards, the gyrospheres and all that, in the inner cities, that was really some of the better stuff, because we never really get to see the impact of you know, the dinosaurs existing, or the theme park, you know, theme parks of the general population on mainland. And we finally got to see a little bit of that. And I think in Jurassic World 3, we're really going to see a lot of that. Where was I going with that? I can't remember. Oh, sorry. Speaking of the beginning, the very beginning, the best opening scene in all the Jurassic Park films. My favorite part of that was when Rexy was coming through the trees. You know, the music for that was masterfully well done. And the music throughout. I'll talk about the music for a second. And I can't really address any specific score, but all the music was beautiful. And I loved when the credits started rolling, they played the original theme. Dun 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 dun. It was great. Like I said, the Indoraptor. I forgot what it's called. The Indoraptor Nightmare or something like that. I forget. But that scene that gets rolling, oh, magnificent, and no different to the beginning as well. And the trees parting, because I always like that scene from The Lost World when you see the Rexes parting the trees like water, and you know, Rexy just coming on the scene was amazing. And it was really cool to see the Mosasaurus still alive. I assume that she's probably still alive from maybe an automatic feeder it's still going, or maybe she's just been an apex predator, because since it's only been 3 years, really, a monitor, you know, she probably needs a lot more food given her size, but really, monitor lizards, you know, if you're going that route, don't need to constantly eat, and they can survive long periods without being fed. So I assume that plays a little bit of a part into it. But and then getting the little, and it took me a while to actually hear it. I could never hear it originally, the little Dilo hoot. So I wonder if they got some Dilos off the island. That would have, or maybe some Dilos snuck onto the ship or something. Yeah, that would be awesome. Because we really need the Dilos to come back. We really need the Dilos to come back in some way. But that was awesome. It was so awesome getting Rexy lifting the car and chasing, you know, the dude, catching the helicopter. All of it was amazing. Then you see, of course, the Mosasaur leap out and snatch the dude up. The beginning was just amazing. Let's see. And I'm glad they stuck with that instead of the, I think the opening was going to be, no, that was the ending, was going to be with the Mosasaur escaped and eating the whaling ship. Although I did criticize that in the beginning. Yeah, they have a giant gate leading to the ocean. It's always these giant gates. But leading on from there, it's interesting to see how Owen got along after that, really. He's now building a cabin. It's like he's finishing his mission from Passengers. But, and then, of course, the bar scene, which reminds me of a lot of, or anyone really, a lot of Jurassic Park 3. Then moving on, the blues capture was another really cool scene. I'm moving through the movie. Another really cool scene and personal, you know, her getting shot and all that. And she clawed that dude hard. I mean, that was really excruciating watching him being clawed by Blue. Then, of course, the betrayal. Let's see. Then little Sinoceratops like, hey, buddy, impending doom's coming. It's coming, dude. Wake up. And then we got to see the Jeep that was thrown off. So where... It's interesting to think, you know, if the Jeep's there, then right behind him's got to be a giant concrete moat. Anyway. Moving on from there. Of course, that would be the bunker scene of the bear. And that was a really great scene. But it was so far spoiled in the TV spots. I really can't stand Universal doing that. Spoiling the whole movie. I mean, I saw the whole scene in a TV spot. Like, trying to avoid it, but you can't exactly avoid something while it's on TV. And it was really disappointing that they did that. Because it took a lot of the magic out of that scene, which is a really great scene. Loved how they played with the horror up with the baryonyx, you know, coming down the tunnel and the lava coming down around it. And the poor thing got left in there. Whew. Although maybe he was able to escape, we don't know. But love that scene. I always thought it was funny. I think that was actually his actual scream too. Like I can't remember what they did. They did something to make him scream, and I think that was his actual scream that he did. And then of course the big chase that leads, all the herbivore, the dinosaurs running around, the juvenile Allosaurus, and then of course the big Sino versus Carno fight. Man, I love that fight. Oh man, that's so cool, and it's really the first herbivore carnivore fight we've gotten in the franchise, and it was really cool to finally get something like that. Although Jurassic World 3, you have to do this. You have to give us a T-Rex versus Triceratops fight. I mean, seriously, give us it. Give us it. And then, of course, Rexy coming in out of nowhere. And I love the roar that she has now. Like her aged roar. I absolutely love it. I think it's really awesome. A really cool sound. More like a trumpet than anything. Than the, like, high-pitched roar that she used to have. It really shows her age as well. And leading on from there, the cliff thing. For something that's supposed to be bulletproof and all that, if you take so many hits, it's funny that apparently a knife can, pry it open. The gyrosphere. Let's see, leading on from there, of course, we got on the ship. We saw the different dinosaurs that were taken. We see Ken Wheelie being a douche, ripping a tooth out of the stegosaur. Poor thing. That poor thing is gonna have toothy problems from now on. Anyway, and then of course the big sad scene of the Brachiosaurus, dying. And I was sad. I was kind of sad the first time I saw it, but it didn't get to me that much. And then I watched it later on, and it really almost put a tear in my eye. It was really sad. Now it's really sad to me. But moving on from there, of course we get to the Lockwood Manor. And, let's see. Kind of do a haberdashery of what happens in there. Of course they get caught, they get thrown in there, they get confronted by Eli Mills with what they've done, like the raptor training, and then they're simply creating the Indominus Rex. We get a chance to see the baby Triceratops cuddle. We get the explanation of, well, of course, Maisie confronts Mills and all that, and then she gets locked in her room, and then Mills kills Lockwood for it. I mean, dadgum, he really thought he was going to get away with that. I mean, that's the first time we've ever seen, well, I guess you could call it corporate espionage in a way, but, I mean, they're in leagues with each other, but, like an actual murder take place. It's not an inadvertent murder like what Dennis Nedry did by turning off the power and then the dinosaurs killed how many people. This was, deliberate smothering an old man. It's pretty sick. But, and I always like the introduction to the Indoraptor as well. When she first encounters it, the robotic arm, let me pick this up. First encounters it, and the whole explanation of everything. All these dinosaurs, they gotta be kept alive to preserve the DNA. They can't just be dead. I mean, surely you could have frozen the DNA. I mean, if you can create a dinosaur, then surely the DNA, even if dead, would have still been fresh. But anyway, you still gotta keep Blue alive somehow. And I like how BD Wong was played up in this one. He's not really a villain. Like I said in the Q&A, he's not really a villain. He's just an innovator with no conscience. That's really what he is. He's not really a villain. But, let's see. Going on from there, the murder. Of course, they escape by using Stiggy to break out. That was really funny. I always enjoyed watching Stiggy get out of there. Rolling through all this in my head. Maisie finds her grandfather killed. And then we learn. Let's see, no, she gets away. And then Claire and Owen meet up with her. And then we learn from Eli. No, okay, that would happen afterwards. Then we get to the dinosaur auction itself. And, so we had to assume, well, wait, sorry, I'm not going to go into that. We saw the Ankylosaurus being sold off, we saw the Baryonyx being sold off, we saw the juvenile Allosaurus being sold off. And I like how they went through the explanation of all the dinosaurs. And then I think we saw other species. I can't exactly remember. And I'm going to do that video eventually of all the dinosaurs that escaped and survived, or creatures. And of course we get to the Indoraptor. And it was really interesting to see how the Indoraptor is played up. You know, with the gun that locks onto a target, and the general reaction of the horror of this thing. You know, is really awesome. And then so you feel bad for it because they're getting shocked with a taser. And then you see the greed of Mills that basically caves into selling it. And then Wu being really mad about it. Let's see. And that's what really plays up that part of him being an innovator with no conscience. He really doesn't care what the Indoraptor does to anyone after they sell it. He cares about if someone else is going to copy his work, really. And he plays it up in that quote, and I can't remember the quote right now. But leading on from there, of course, and then Owen and Claire release, or Owen gets sticky down there, and that little monster goes mayhem on all these people. And I love that scene, watching her run around and beat all these people up. And then, of course, we go from there, and we see Ken Wheatley's death. You know, he unlocks the Indoraptor. Paddock, or, you know, his whole death and all that, we know that. And then Toby Jones, I forgot his name, hold on, Steve Irwin went off, hold on, Gunner, Eversol's death, and the Screaming Lady and all that. I'm talking about their deaths in a minute. I want to talk about deaths in a completely different part. Then we get to them, Eli Mills explaining her being a clone of Lockwood's daughter. And I always got the idea of, everyone thinks it's a bad idea and all that. You don't realize, you know, if he had her and proves that she's a clone, that can make almost as much as a dinosaur. And playing into that market of, well, for the same reasons that Lockwood did it, people will want to recreate their loved one, you know, bring back their loved ones, you know, especially children. You know, you can't really bring back your grandfather and then raise him again, but you can bring back a daughter or a son you lost, or a child you lost, you know, or a sibling. And, you know, that can play up a lot in Jurassic World 3. Well, really not anymore because he's dead. But that idea is still there, that's essentially his next idea for money than just the dinosaurs. Then leading on from there, of course, the Indoraptor escapes, and I mean, the Indoraptor comes through and takes out 2 guys at once. And then, of course, it's just the whole survival through the mansion, and somehow Mills was able to get out, you know, Zaya and Franklin. And I forgot to mention, I always did like the scene earlier as well when they were treating Blue and then doing the blood transfer with Rexy. Oh man, I love that. The whole tension of that scene. But back, and then they release Blue from the cage to eat these guys' faces off. I love that. Then see what from there, where do we go? Let's see. From there, I'm trying to think. Was it from? Of course, they went to the main hall, and all the electricity was shut off. And after stalking him through, or no, Yeah. And, you know, we get to the whole Indoraptor chase, and the whole thing, the Indoraptor kills off some guards, and the whole thing, it moves around like a big cat, and I love that so much about it. And then the whole, just it walking around is so awesome. And then, of course, it going off, and them getting Maisie running, separating from them. And the Indoraptor gives chase after it claws Claire's foot or leg in one of the displays. And she gets back to her room. We get that great Indoraptor scene on top of the roof. And then it climbs down to her room, where got that creepy Freddy Krueger Indoraptor. And then, of course, Owen comes in, shoots it, does nothing, and then Blue steps in. We get the whole Blue Indoraptor fight, which leads to them going outside, you know, then being able to trick the Indoraptor into breaking the glass, you know, going down. And I always like that scene where it actually climbs back up. That was actually pretty terrifying to me. And then, of course, we get the fatality with Blue jumping on its back and then impaling it on the Ceratopsian skull. Because it's not a Triceratops skull, it's another Ceratopsian. And then, of course, Blue giving her conk conk and running away. And then we get the scene where Claire's about to release all the dinosaurs, and, you know, she does the responsible decision and decides to let them die with the toxic gas that's being leaked. I forgot what kind of gas it was. But anyway, it was really sad seeing the different dinosaurs, and I'll have to do that video about them all surviving. Basically thinking, man, they're gonna die. And then, of course, Maisie being the only... Well, Maisie being the one, the child, the one that's not gonna make the responsible decision to do this, and she has her, you know, her reasons. They're alive just like her, and, you know, the whole idea of the dinosaurs was a thing that she grew up loving, and she loved the dinosaurs, and, you know, she was excited for them to come and for them to be rescued. So, you know, you gotta look at her perspective. You know, maybe it's a dumb one in a way, but you can't blame her. And also, she gives us Jurassic World 3. So, and then you got cut straight to dude getting trampled by a Triceratops, dude getting lifted and dropped on a car by a Pteranodon, and of course Eli Mills going under the car and being trampled on by the rest of the dinosaurs we see escape, and then climbing out to get the Indominus Rex rib before. And I always like that scene. You see the compies and you think it's the compies that are going to get him. Then you saw the Carnotaurus and you know the Carnotaurus is going to get him. And then, of course, Rex, he comes out and chomps down on him while the compies and the Carnos are trying to snap up what little bits they can get. Rex gives that JP1 roar and stance, and then stomps on that Indominus rib, saying heck no to any more hybrids. And then we get the whole goodbye Blue, of course, because it's a different way from when Owen had to turn Blue away in Jurassic World, and now she's going to live in the wild without him, rather than be locked up in a cage. Then we go from there, we see the whole ending and the idea of what the chaos is going to do to the world. We don't see any of the other dinosaurs escape. We see Rexy, of course, break into a zoo. We assume the San Diego Zoo, probably. The Mosasaurus about to eat some surfers. And then ending with Blue overlooking a suburban neighborhood. And then we see the few dinosaurs that escape. We saw the Baryonyx escape into a cargo plane. And then, that reminds me. Unless the Baryonyx was in another thing, really, and of course some DNA vials that went along with it, including a new species called Dragnotus, you know, and then many others like Carnotaurus and Sinoceratops, Stygimoloch, Brachiosaurus, Allosaurus, and then my speculated Styracosaurus. But there was 3 transport trucks So there has to be another dinosaur that's with those other dinosaurs. We saw Allosaurus and Baryonyx, and we assume that Ankylosaurus is another dinosaur, because Baryonyx and Allosaurus were some of the first dinosaurs that were, you know, sold off, and Ankylosaurus was the first one to be sold off, so we assume that probably Ankylosaurus was also sold and was one of those transport trucks. So I assume that 4 dinosaurs are at least loose afterwards now. Two are at least unidentified. And I like seeing the close-up look of the Allosaurus and then the Baryonyx as well. I really cannot wait to see more medium carnivore action in Jurassic World 3. And of course, we get the whole quote of, don't you see what we've done? We've unleashed this genetic power upon the world, and of course ending with, welcome to Jurassic World.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
With Owen and Claire and Maisie looking out towards the ocean, seeing 3 pteranodons now loose and alive in a very new environment, an alien environment, which frankly you'd think in 3 years the pteranodons would have already gotten to mainland in some way. You'd think. And also, where are the Dimorphodons? I like those little things from Jurassic World. What happened to the Dimorphodons, man? But anyway, and of course we get the San Diego part, the zoo scene with the Rexy was awesome. But anyway, that's where it ends, of course, with Blue overlooking that suburban neighborhood. There's really nothing else to explain. I think I've gone over every scene in the movie and the story. Of course, we get the after credit scene of basically the Pteranodons in Sin City, Las Vegas. And it wasn't really much of an after credit scene, but I don't know, it's just done. I think they're thinking, man, you know, after credit scenes are all the rage now, and we got this scene that's already done. Why don't we just throw it in as an after credit scene? Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, all in all, I love the story, and like I said, maybe 10 minutes of, you know, the roundup happening would have satisfied a lot of needs, and I think if they had worked a little bit more with Ken Wheatley's death, it would have been better. But all in all, I love the story. It's very, you know, it retains the Jurassic Park / world feel. It introduces new things, a lot of Crichton-esque ideas. It has the darker tone, a lot more action. You know, the horror aspects are really nice as well. And all in all, I really have very little problems with this movie. I love it. And it's now my favorite one in the franchise. And frankly, well, let me look at my thing real quick. Sorry, Steve. Alright, real quick, I want to attribute the deaths really quick. So, let's see, who died? First death. Okay, so the first death was the dude, the Tech Merc guy, I forget his name. But Tech Merc guy, who got chewed on by the Mosasaurus and chased by Rexy. Second death. We didn't have any deaths of the Mercs on the island, so it's not until we get to the Lockwood Manor. You know, several Mercs were killed off by the Indoraptor. You know, the one was killed by the Pteranodon dropping on a car. Another Merc trampled by a Triceratops. Let's see, and of course, the main deaths. You know, first being really Ken Wheatley's death. You know, by the Indoraptor. Then, of course, and I already explained his death enough. And I really also enjoyed Embersol's death. I thought it was kind of corny at first, how it just whipped the little control panel and then gets into him. I think it could have been a little different as well. But I enjoyed their death really more than Ken Wheatley in a way. Although I did like Ken Wheatley's performance with the Indoraptor. You know, his blubbering and all that. And I like the scream the Indoraptor unleashes. I thought, man, that is ungodly. But anyway, Embersol and the Screaming Lady and all their death. Like, that is a powerful roar for one, to blow back that toupee.
Don't turn the lights on, plus we save on electricity, right? And because the lights didn't work, I won't pay the rent, so we get better lighting and we don't pay the rent, right? They're too bright, turn them off! No, get those lights off! Off!
I honestly thought it was really horrifying just hearing the scream. I think they should have had a more on-screen deaths, but you know, it's still a pretty good death of those 4 individuals. I mean, dead gum, that Indoraptor. How many more? Okay, so Indoraptor has how many? 1, 2, assuming that one is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So really 9 deaths in the movie. And going on from there, of course, the final one being Eli Mills' death at the hands of, or actually, well, James Cromwell being murdered by Eli Mills, and then Eli Mills being chomped on by Rexy and then ripped apart by the Carnotaurus and Compsognathus for scraps. And those are all the deaths. I think my favorite death in the movie is Eli Mills' death. I overly enjoyed that scene. It's my favorite scene in the movie, seeing the, you know, Rexy and the Carnotaurus fight over the meal. Really, really loved it. And overall, with the series going forward, I think, you know, I really need to do that real quick. I think with the series going forward, it's going to more tackle the idea of the political aspect of it. You know, the Extinct Now people versus the DPG and the government getting involved. You know, I think that's going to be a really big part of Jurassic World 3. It's going to be interesting, especially with today's political climate, of how that's going to work out. And I'll have to do another video, really, of what I think the franchise is going to do going forward and what we can expect in Jurassic World 3. But if you want more of my thoughts on, you know, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, really, and all that, you can go back to the Q&A I did with Clayton Fioriti and Jeremy Pruchik. I explained a lot in that. And then also, thankfully, my in-theater reaction to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was reinstated. So y'all can go back and watch that as well. And I'll probably add some clips from that around in here somewhere. But, yeah, and all that. And so I'm thankful that's back. And finally, my final thoughts. I love the movie. It's now my favorite in the whole franchise. The dinosaurs were amazing. I loved how they introduced new species, and species that we've wanted for so long, as well as, you know, even outside the movie, you know, the DPG, and the creators of the DPG. I think that's what I enjoyed so much, is just having the lore more grounded and explored to a point where we know really everything outside of it and how everything fits in together. It's no longer really a ton of speculation. It's a firm story and grasp about what this franchise is and how everything came to be. And that's part why I think I love this movie so much. It's just because of how much fun I had leading up to it. I just love doing the Jurassic chats and everything for it. And, you know, the characters were really great. Maybe bland sometimes. I didn't really have problems with any of the characters. I thought Zaya was fun. I thought Franklin was funny. I still like Chris Pratt because he's my favorite actor currently. Bryce Dallas Howard was a much better improvement from Jurassic World. Maisie was a great actor, you know, for her role in the film. Cromwell did really well. And Eli Mills was a great villain. And while Ken Wheatley, I think, was a weaker villain, I think he definitely could have had... He should have been more threatening in my mind. Like, he calls Zaya a nasty woman. And it's a funny political joke, but I mean, seriously, she's flat out touching or pushing him, and he's doing nothing. So either he's very respectful to women, or he just has no backbone. Like, just that. I think he should have been a little more threatening in a way. And then, of course, you know, his dumb decision to get into an Indoraptor. You know, a dinosaur, you don't even know what it is, and you get into its enclosure, or its little cage. But anyway, those are my final thoughts. I love the movie. I loved it. It had very few problems for me. You know, and I've got to give it, and I already gave it a 9 out of 10. I think it well deserves that. It explores so much, and it is so well done. You know, and thank you to all the cast and crew who helped make it happen, and to all the I already said the cast and crew. You know, Steven Spielberg, you know, I think he really liked this film. I don't know what I'm going on about. He's probably late. But I can't wait to see what Derek, you know, I think Derek Connolly's still involved. I think Amanda Carmichael is going to be doing the screenplay for Jurassic World 3 with Colin Trevorrow, who's directing the third one. And I am excited that Trevorrow's coming back. I think he's learning, you know, as a filmmaker. And I think he really has what it takes to become the next Spielberg, in a way. And I really think that with a little more tutelage, he can pull off a really great Jurassic World film, you know, with it being the final film. And I can't wait to see what he does with it. And I think J.L. Bayona did a fantastic job with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And I applaud him for it. I can't wait to see what he does next. But anyway, what do y'all guys think? Did y'all enjoy my my overdue review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? Sorry it's a really long video, but, you know, I'll have to go into all the details. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Hope y'all enjoyed this overdue review of my now favorite movie of all time. Thanks for watching, and let's hit the 2,100 subscriber mark.
How many times do you have to see the evidence? How many times must the point be made? We're causing our own extinction. Too many red lines have been crossed. And our home has, in fundamental ways, been polluted by avarice and political megalomania. Genetic power has now been unleashed. And of course, that's going to be catastrophic. This change was inevitable from the moment we brought the first dinosaur back from extinction. We convince ourselves that sudden change is something that happens outside the normal order of things, like a car crash, or that it's beyond our control, like a fatal illness. We don't conceive of sudden, radical, irrational change as woven into the very fabric of existence. Yet I can assure you it most assuredly is. And it's happening now. Humans and dinosaurs are now going to be forced to coexist. These creatures were here before us. And if we're not careful, they're going to be here after. We're going to have to adjust to new threats that we can't imagine. We've entered a new era. Welcome to Jurassic World.